Hey everyone, let's talk about how to do the article project for economics, okay? First thing you need is the actual packet that explains the assignment. So if you have one handy, you can look at that. If you don't have one, you can go to either my website here at Warren or whatever your teacher's website is, assuming they have it. Maybe it's Edmodo. But anyway, you go to wherever that handout is and obviously download it. And what you're going to need to look for is that basically this is a project that's all about following important directions so you can accomplish the goals. So the first thing is that, well, as it says, step one, you got to find an article. Now I think the easiest place to look is to actually go to a very, reputable news website, or if you've got a newspaper, use that. So here's CNN Money. And obviously this is going to be chock full of econ related news. One of the first things that pops up and you can look at is any major headlines up here. This one's about Google. If you look down, sort of latest news talks about Groupon, Microsoft, all kinds of things, Macy's. So anything that sort of catches your interest, you can grab. Here's something about the iPhone. That one's always exciting. Netflix. But I found an article that talks about young Americans and how they're not driving cars as much. They're not buying new cars like Americans used to do in the past. So I like this. As I look through it, I see some major economic concepts from class that I could relate it to. So I'm going to choose this. So what you need to do next is print that article, which is step 2. Print it up or cut it out from a newspaper, wherever it's from. Once you've done that, read through it, highlight it, annotate on it, do what you need to do to sort of pull all the details out of it, and then move on to step 3. And step 3 is where you need to open up like a word processor. So for me, I've got Word, and obviously first thing you need right at the top is your name and who you are. So that's the first piece of this basic heading information. Your class period and your name needs to be the very first thing. And underneath that are 4 more pieces of information that we really got to have. So the article's title, which again is Young Americans Ditch the Car. Underneath that you need the article's source, meaning like where did it come from. And then I need you to tell me what class topic it relates to. Something from class that you could say, look, this relates to this topic that we talked about in class. And then a full link from the actual article. So going back, you can just highlight this, copy it, and then actually paste it into all of this stuff like so. So this is the article title, where it's from, a topic from class that it relates to, and then the actual thing. Once you've got that done, you just kind of keep moving through. We need now, there are 3 sections that we're going to write about. The first of the 3 sections is the main idea and the details from the article. So this is just kind of like a summary. Feel free to make like a heading, and then in a few really good sentences, tell me what the article was about. Give me the main idea and any of the details that sort of explain that. That should be pretty straightforward and easy for you to do at this stage of the game. The next section is any class content that you see that relates to the actual article. So you can make sort of a new heading. This is probably going to be a bigger portion because it's an important part. For instance, in this article, I saw the concept of demand. And so a good thing to do is to define what demand is. You know, you're relating this to the things we talked about in the class. And then you're going to go on to talk about how you see that concept in the actual article. So demand for cars is dropping in the article, and then you're going to sort of analyze that with more class content. So shifting demand, reasons why that's changing, normal goods, neutral goods, inferior goods, anything that relates to class that you see that could be talked about from the article's point of view is something you're going to want to include in this part of the in the article. Okay. Now there's one more part, as you can see here. It's a new part this year. It's called the relationships and connections part. And something that we're trying to get into people's minds is the way that a good article always talks about some sort of a connection between 2 or more ideas or some relationship. That can be either a cause-effect relationship, some sort of a sequential connection. You know, this happens first, which means that these, 2, 3 things happened afterwards, first, second, third, fourth, or some other sort of comparative relationship. So what you need to do is somehow talk about anything that sort of falls into one of those categories. So in this article I saw an easy cause and effect thing, how as different factors were changing in our economy, we see the effect being that people are driving cars less and they're therefore needing to buy cars less. So you can see, sort of talking about that with economic content is important, but the overall point is to practice the skill of seeing these relationships. And if you can do that, then you're going to be fine. Okay? Now that's how you write it. And at this point, maybe I would go back, I would do a spell check, I would read it, I would make any changes or formatting corrections that need to be done, but then you print this up. And then ultimately we should have given you probably a rubric in class, or you'll be able to pick one up the day that you need to turn it in. Staple this to the front and you should be good to go. Turn it in. And that's that. Now remember, if you have any questions, look over your packet. It should explain everything. And if you have any further questions, talk to your teacher. Thanks everybody.